Hey guys, welcome to the Trinity Force Podcast. You're listening to and watching episode number 126. My name is Adam Ponophobia Cogswell, and I'm your host, just like every other week. Everybody say hi to the stream. Hi, stream. Oh, I had to mute it there real quick. Anyway, so continuing with my spiel, everybody is here this week. Look at how beautiful Dom looks.
I almost spat beer all over the place when he pulled that cat up.
Oh, hey guys, we have Moobied in the audience.
Moobied!
Hi, buddy. So you guys need to all go out there right now, if you're listening to this after the fact, and go tweet at Moobied and tell him to come on the podcast with us.
Yeah, he's a nice guy, and he should be here.
That's right. We want to talk PvE and how his Christmas went. So anyway, DeClaude and Sean are here. You can see them both, or Chira, however you want to say their names.
So, what's up?
Let's run down some real quick podcast news. As you guys know, we are selling t-shirts, tforcepodcast.spreadshirt.com. They're $20 with $4.50 shipping. There's Podcast to Your Horse, made by TB Skyen, who does Caster Comics. There is You Want to Do Something Stupid. There's the logo. I mean, there's a bunch of awesome t-shirts out there, mugs and everything. Go check it out. You can find the link on the website. As you guys also see or are listening, we are going live every Monday and Wednesday, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you guys can listen to the podcast then. And you can go find the replay over at youtube.com/TForce Podcast. On top of that, we are actually posting all of our Ranked 5 games that we play on the T-Force Podcast YouTube channel. So the 4 guys you see here, we'll try to play once a week if we can, and then those will get uploaded. Dom, Mike.
I didn't turn it on.
Oh.
I didn't say anything.
He should have just acted like you were talking in the background and like really fucked with him. That would have been so much better.
He fucked with me. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, Ranked 5. These 4 guys will try to play with the best yet. He's a friend of ours. He's a jungler. And then, excuse me, on Sundays, the old T-Force Podcast team, now Can't Stun is called. It's like the team that we're like really try-harding on. Are going to post all those videos, and those will all be from the jungler point of view, because I figured you guys didn't really want to watch top lane because it's kind of boring at a ranked 5s to watch for 20 minutes. Stop it down. But yeah, guys, go check that out over at youtube.com/TForce Podcast. Follow us on Twitter and all that good stuff. So that is the news for this week, and I kept it to under 3 minutes. Go me!
Good job.
Amazing.
I get yelled at all the time because it's like 5 minutes long, and I'm going to keep talking. So, are we all ready for Super Week?
I'm ready for the LCS games to be back, baby. I need something to do.
I guess I'm not ready for it. I don't really know how I'm going to work all this in, because there are a lot of games going on while I'm at work now, as opposed to only a few every now and then. Now it's...
Yeah, when are they playing?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow
Tuesday
morning.
The day, huh?
Yeah, Europe.
It's because this week is Super Week. That's how they're starting it off. So it's gonna be an extra long week. Normally it'll be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, plus whatever OGN games you want to catch at 8 o'clock in the morning. That is the worst, because I'll go to the gym I'll get to make it to the gym by like 6:30 and try to get out of the gym by like 7, just so I can get over and watch the OGN games at work before class or work starts.
Can't stream it on your phone and work out?
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing sets as I watch Faker making crazy plays.
Just listen. Okay,
It'll inspire you to better yourself.
Yeah.
Oh.
Be a man.
Or that's the excuse you should use.
DeClaude inspires me to better himself. What?
Huh? Well,
I am
thank you
so
for bettering
confused.
me.
Do you guys hear that squeak in the background, by the way?
No, what is it?
All right, thank
What
God.
is that?
I thought it was my chair. The dog found a squeaky toy, and I'm like, is my chair going to squeak? Yeah, this is a shit show already. This is going to be great. So, yeah, Super Week. I'm really ready to get back in and watch the LCS games. Like, I was ready to have predictions for how they're all going to go, but just watching
so many
people
games.
in the Battle Atlantic, there's no reason to talk about that. Okay, somebody continue this LCS discussion while I go beat my dog.
We can't even hear it.
Yeah.
God,
Okay.
Adam.
Or we could just talk about bullshit.
Yeah,
We
that'll
can talk
work.
about bullshit.
Yeah, I'm
Sorry
a
to
little
all the
bitter 'cause
listeners
I can't
here.
watch the LCS, so
Yeah, I'm pulling up the
I'm gonna have to
schedule
catch it
now.
after the
Like,
fact.
everybody plays once. I know they're kicking it off strong tomorrow. Fnatic versus Gambit. Everybody wants to see that.
I'm just going to be watching while I'm at work, probably.
We'll have better LCS discussion really when the games actually happen. Because I really want to see how like CLG comes back and does, and hopefully they are less dependent.
Hopefully
on,
it comes back.
yeah.
and I'm really looking forward to. Like, I'm cheering for EG now because I like Crepo a lot, and I like Yellow Pete, and of course Snoopy's pretty awesome too. So those guys, like I'd rather follow EG than follow the Alliance in EU with Wicked and Froggen. Like it's is that the name
I'm
of the
interested
team?
in I'm interested in both teams.
Well, unpopular opinion, Ponophobia here. I don't like Wicked or Froggen, so I think it was perfect to split because I never liked watching those two play, and I always, especially Wicked. Like Wicked was so boring to me.
I thought it was funny that they split because the two best players stayed in Europe, but that's just me. My brother and I had this conversation. Like, yeah, it's weird that they're splitting this way because the two best players are definitely staying in Europe, but whatever.
I don't know. I think Crepo has come a long way, especially in Season 4. I've been watching his stream quite a bit, and he makes some play. He's been doing some stuff as support.
I'm not trying to suggest that Crepo, Yellow Pete, or Snoopy are bad players.
No.
I'm just saying, like, if you had to rank them, it's still Froggen and Wicked at the top of that former team.
I think that's debatable.
I agree with Dom on that one though.
Yeah.
I just don't think Wicked was on the top of that team. I think he was just a top laner that did his job.
A consistent top laner.
But that was everybody on that team last season. So if we're using last season as the metric, then like it's all pretty much baseline average. If you go back 2 seasons, it's Froggen and Wicked who are on the top of that team. And I think now with the teams performing the way they are, they're going to be back at the top of their game.
Well, if we also go back 2 seasons to play I not really play devil's advocate here, but just to tell you, like Wicked, that was his play style 2 seasons ago. Heart of Gold, farm for 20-25 minutes, play champions like Aurelia, then come into the team fight and win. That is how Wicked has always played. And I remember doing a Sheen Prox and talking to Froggen and asking if Wicked was ever going to play any AP champions, because in Season 2, he never played a single AP champion in the top lane. It was always... I think it was maybe Renekton, but I know it was always Aurelia.
He played Renekton. Aurelia, Renekton. I feel like there was one other, but
maybe
forgot.
Shen. I don't feel
like... he definitely
But everybody played Shen.
Right. But that was like that was his cup of tea, was let's pick up Heart of Gold, let's sit in the top lane and just join the team fight when I'm needed. It wasn't let's roam around, let's make plays happen. And that's why if I'm judging based on the last 2 seasons.
I mean, they admitted, like pretty much every player on that team admitted that they just didn't bother trying to adjust to Season 3's meta. They just kept trying to play their own way. And then as the year went on, they sort of realized that it wasn't working, but they couldn't really figure out how to adapt because everybody else had moved so far past them. So they won the number of games that they did pretty much based on like, I don't know, individual skill / team synergy. But as far as adjusting to the meta goes, they at no point did it. And so like you can basically put them wherever they were at the end of Season 2 and then flatline it through Season 3 because that's where they were.
Fair enough.
I mean, GG Chronicle, didn't we name Froggen the best mid laner?
Yeah, we did.
In Season 2?
When we did the awards, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And then obviously this last year would have been Faker, would have easily taken that title.
Pretty much all of SKT, wins everything.
Sadly, it's pretty
wins
true.
Every award. There's no point in voting for anybody else.
I don't know, Dom. If it was up to you, probably Mega Zero would have won one of those awards. I know how high and mighty you are at him and Pull Belter.
As far as rooting for players, I'm not capable of rationality when it comes to Mega Zero. There's like a handful of players I just don't know how to cheer against. But when it comes to rankings and that type of stuff, I try to be pretty objective.
Right.
Hornet would disagree with me, but
oh well, if we got into the discussion right now with Hornet on this podcast, we wouldn't make it to listener questions or talk about any kind of PvE changes or anything because
that soapbox
was too high.
Yeah, so games this week. A lot of games.
Yeah, I think we'll talk about a couple of the games on Wednesday, so that'll be the Friday podcast. You guys will. Unfortunately, with the way the games are this week, you'll get a couple of days lag time with how the podcast comes out. But we'll talk a little bit more about it, what we saw play, and how much different it was from last season. So we're gonna leave the LCS discussion at that for this week, and we're gonna move on to League. Let's talk about League questions. Do I have to go over Skyen's question right now? Because I have not put any thought into this at all.
His does warrant thought.
If you want to take some time, go ahead.
Right. So I'm just going to throw it out. Skyen, he wrote in, the guy who does Caster Comics, and he asked us, from an art perspective, what is our favorite splash art and what is our favorite ability and animation particle? And I have not put any thought into this, so we're going to pick this one up on Wednesday for sure. And we're going to come back and we're going to talk about it. But that's out there.
It took me 1 second to decide my favorite splash art.
Save it.
Let's hear it.
think I have mine.
No, I'll save it.
Save it. Let's save it.
The suspense. I want to know.
Claude, did you see Luke's pun earlier on Twitter?
No, which one?
The one about Moo Moo and rapping?
Yeah.
I came up with that.
Yes, I did.
Thank you very much. That was me. We were in the car, and he's like, I'm going to tweet that and make it mine. I'm like, God damn it. Anyway.
I've done it before, but it is good. I like it.
Okay, so Pope Hazard 4 writes.
Good, take his moment away from him.
I'm not taking it away. Give it to Luke.
Yeah, it's his. All right, guys,
No,
we're going to go into
yours.
league questions right now. We're going to go, and hopefully we'll have some fantastic discussion for you. So Pope Hazard 4 writes in, do you guys use the new pink wards in top or middle lane? If so, where? Claude, do you want to take that one from a middle lane perspective?
Sure. Yeah, I do like to use them on the middle lane. If I'm purple side, for example, I like to put them in the bush leading into the our jungle on the red side.
Near the Wraith camps.
Near the Wraith camps. Not the one heading closer into the lane, but the one between the Baron pit and the Lizard pit.
Yep.
So I like to put it in there. I put it on the edge so that it can view pretty much the Wraith camp. On the other side, I like to put it down the opposite one, the same one, Dragon Pit, in there. Those are pretty much my main spots in the mid lane that I like to have it, just so I can see when the enemy is moving around in our jungle or trying to be sneaky. On the top lane, I like to put it in my tri-bush. Mm-hmm. I don't like to put it in the enemy tri-bush unless I'm playing a champion who is really pushed and I can bait them to attack that ward and then kill them while they're there. So that's pretty much it for top and mid.
Yeah, we've talked about this one a couple podcasts ago, and the consensus was banana bush, top lane tri-bush, and there's that little small bush over by Dragon that you can, and there's a small bush over by Baron that you can stick in those, because a lot of people walk by without even paying attention. Like junglers will run by it and not even pay attention because they're too busy watching lane.
They'll even go through the bush and barely be paying attention because they'll be looking too far down map and just walk right past it.
Or in the Dragon Pit.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really see it when you're walking
behind the
past.
rock. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been running into a lot of duo lanes where, particularly if I'm blue side, the opponent will throw a pink ward into the river brush. And I guess I'm not a big fan of that because it's really, like, you lose control of that zone pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. Like, just the way, the ebb and flow of the lane, you lose control of that zone pretty quickly, and any support worth his sight stone is going to be checking that brush pretty regularly. And so that's, 125 gold down the drain for you, plus money for them. And like, there are just a lot of times where you can't contest it. Because you're pushed back to your tower, and you have to keep CSing, and you can't, like, if you stray outside, you're going to get punished.
Unless you're a really aggressive lane. Like, I've had an enemy dual lane that was really aggressive, and mine was more conservative, and they kept us pushed, and they would put the pink ward in there and say, okay, come and try to take it. And no, I couldn't. They were too aggressive, and they had the advantage. They had us pushed. Now, the jungler could come down and then try to take it.
Right.
And then, that's when they'd be screwed.
Ward's still done its job, but...
Right.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan. I would rather just keep using normal wards in that brush and sweep it.
Sure. I don't like it anywhere that
maybe that's just a personal preference.
No, I don't like to put it anywhere where I think people are going to walk through, or it's going to be more heavily trafficked. Like, even if it gets trafficked one more time than any other bush, I don't like to put it there. That's why top lane, the only time I buy a pink, well, I guess either side, I'll put it into the tri, or I'll put it on the backside of blue or red, somewhere that I know is going to provide, it's going to be the best vision. Like, at any point in time, somebody could try to come and steal that buff. If red side has pushed down your top tower and is now started to invade, obviously you can't keep that pinked because they're going to walk around in there. But if you are the one pushing it down, you can pink up their jungle, because the enemy's not going to be able to walk to their jungle as frequently, because now you have more control of it because that top tower is down, right?
Right.
So anywhere that I can put a pink anywhere that I use pinks are going to be where, again, it's less trafficked than any other place.
Or if there's an Evelyn running around.
Yeah, that changes the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pick ward tax is pretty high.
So I really like this question. Actually, considering the guys on the podcast don't know this right now, but the intro this week changed. It's not our new intro. Our new intro actually is going to come on Wednesday, by the way.
Really? We finished it.
We will have our brand new intro, but we're going to have a different intro this week than the Bad Administrator one. And this next question that just got asked, what are we drinking? which I think we should answer every week if we are drinking. And I'm drinking beer. If you're looking at the camera right now, Dogfish Head's 61 IPA. It is It's the 60 minute with Syrah Grape Must. What do you got, Dom?
I'm drinking Finnegan's Irish Amber.
Just your $6 6-pack?
$12 12-pack, but yeah.
Isn't that the same damn thing as a $6 6-pack?
But I bought more of them.
I am drinking a hot cup of coffee in a mug with a turkey on it.
I thought that was a fish with a lure in his mouth at first.
Nope, it's a turkey. Gobble gobble.
I'm just drinking water right now. I
You're a disappointment.
spent all my beer money on fancy beer this week, Dom.
Well,
I got a 4-pack
Fancy
of
beer.
Houblon Chouf. It's like $15.
I picked up
Delicious.
a 6-pack of Berry Wheat for $2.99.
Oh, you hero.
For $3 for a 6-pack, whatever. All right, let's move on. I had to answer that question real quick.
$3 and fruit in it? No, thank you.
This has wine. So it's grape, so it is fruit.
Fruit does not belong in beer.
Please, my orange ale is amazing. Just ask Chira.
It's good. It's good.
No, nobody
Is
wants
that your Daybreak brew?
That was the orange version of the Daybreak Brew. Yes.
Nice.
Apparently, we're a beer podcast now.
Yes, we are. Well, we haven't talked about alcohol in like 30 episodes, which is probably a lie. All right, Goker writes, can you guys talk about mid-game? Actually, this is a really good question because Dom and I...
This is a really good question.
Yes, because before I get this, Dom and I were playing fives last night. You guys go over in the YouTube channel and check those out. And there was at one point where we actually said, we're going to lose in the mid-game if we are not ahead, or this game is ours to lose. And that's where we lost the game, was mid-game. Consequently? Can't say it. As in... Coincidentally, whatever.
Or consequently.
Thank you, Mr. Editor. As in, he goes, can you guys talk about mid-game? As in, what is the objective of mid-game? When does it start? What's the most important thing to keep in mind during the mid-game? So
a lot of it is really dependent on your comp as far as what the objective is. If you have... it really depends on the champions. There are some champion compositions where it's win by or just near the end of mid game, and other compositions where it's like get to mid game and then just hope you survive until end game because that's when you're weak. And it I don't know, it really depends on the champion and everything, but like Tristana, for example, is a really good early game champion, and she's terrible in mid game because all of her abilities scale like with ability power, but you're almost always billing her attack damage. Mm-hmm. So it's not until she has a lot of the big attack damage items where she's making heavy use of her attack speed steroid that she really starts to shine again.
And so you can't forget about her range. Her range is at that point.
Yeah, that too. So she's really strong early because all of her abilities have like decent base damages on them, unlike most of the typical marksmen. But then she gets to mid game, she's not adding a lot of extra oomph between anything that she's doing, and she has to put herself into just terrible position to do any damage with with most of her abilities. Mm. But then suddenly she gets to late game, and when she has items again, she's a nightmare, and you don't want to be anywhere near her.
Right. If you guys look at I'll use the game. If you look at the game last night, Dom's point is out of this park. I can't even say anything else about it. But if you guys kind of look at the game we played, it was we played, what was it? Shyvana, Orianna, Olaf, Sivir, and who was our support?
I was Nami.
Nami. Because we wanted the Nami wave to help engage, but it ended up working against us more than it helped us.
For reasons.
For reasons, right. So that whole point of that team comp was it was more of a wombo combo team comp, but we also played it incorrectly because we when we got into the game, I don't remember what we were playing against, but I know they had Elise and Ziggs. So just right there, that's a lot of disengage and really hard to get in on top of. So looking at our team comp, you would think, all right, Sivir's popping her ultimate, Olaf and Shyvana can dive, and Orianna, whoever, can catch somebody, and we'll just be able to, burst down a couple of them. But the way they played team fights and the way you have to play against that is knowing that mid-game was either of our strengths, that all you have to do is, you don't group up in a big ball, for example, because if a Shyvana dives in with the Ori ball on it, you can, you'll suck them all in, and you'll catch 2 or 3 of them with the amount of damage she had. Now, we walked into mid-game up on kills, 2 or 3
You want me to
kills.
quick roll down their comp now? Just
Yeah, please.
Okay. They had Lucian, Renekton, Elise, Karma support, and Ziggs.
So as you see right there, that's lots of disengage to our full on engage, and this is a really good.
And that's a lot of just really strong mid game champions.
Right.
Like I feel like Renekton's at his best at that point of the game.
Renekton his ultimate does the most damage between like 6 and 9 or 6 and 11 or something like that. That's that mid game point. I guess you could go 6.
Karma's really starting to ramp up at that stage of the game. And Ziggs, he's kind of good all game at this point.
Right.
And even then, Lucian only needs like 1 item to suddenly become a nightmare.
And he has a huge power spike mid game.
Yeah.
And if he gets more kills during that mid game, he translates very well to the end game. He has to have the items. To Claude.
So based on this question, though, what do you think the objective is?
Well, I was kind of getting there.
Had.
Yeah. That's a good question because I was kind of getting there. Like the comp that we had, what we should have been doing, what we did not do, is we should not have picked Orianna. We should have picked a wave clear champ or a champ that had. Like
a lot higher mobility
or wave clear. So Gragas or Ahri, for example, because that would have allowed us to combat. We were bleeding objectives, and that will happen.
We really
a lot.
were. We were doing really well. Like in team fights, we would start out well, and then things would fall apart because reasons. And I don't want to get too into detail for just the purpose of this. We would start our team fights well, and then things would fall apart. Because of comp-related issues, and then we just started losing more and more objectives because of that. And we just had a difficult time contesting any objectives because our siege potential at that stage of the game was really low compared to great Ziggs and Lucian, for sure.
And that's something, and when you're talking about mid-game, it's something you have to keep in mind. When you're looking at the champions, what can you do? Ziggs, for example. When we saw Ziggs, we should not have picked Control into Ziggs. We should have picked Wave Clear and Punish into Ziggs, or, one of the two. Because Ziggs has a lot of control between his Minefield, his Satchel Charge. And, I mean, Minefield and Satchel Charge is lots of control right there. And
he has insane Wave Clear, so you got to counter that Wave Clear.
Exactly. And that's where we started bleeding objectives. Now, if we would have played this differently, if we would have played... So, right now, the League of Legends, and it can be broken down to... The game is mostly played as a 1-4 split. So, you'll have your top laner off-splitting one lane, a top, or somebody who can dual role, relatively well. A mid laner can do it as well. And then 4 people are sieging a tower. And that's what they were doing to us. It was the 1-4 split. And if we would have started doing that sooner, and you see this a lot of programs, if they would have started their 1-4 split a few seconds sooner, or a few minutes rather, you may have not have seen those big team fights with the where you start just taking objectives, people having to go back. There's no one dying, people are getting so low they have to go back. So, and we didn't do. So the mid game you also have to keep into. Have you guys ever watched Freak Stream before?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
No.
So just recently he started talking about...
I don't know who you were asking. I actually thought you were asking the listeners there.
Oh, no, I was talking to you guys. This kind of goes into mid-game as well. You have to consider what he calls bookkeeping, where when you are playing bottom lane and you have 1,550 gold, you're level 7, you need to go back to get your BF sword, but now you are giving 30 to 45 seconds of free time to that bottom lane, assuming they're still there or they're just coming back. So bookkeeping needs to be taken into consideration where you are, when people are going to go back, what people, it's basically when are people going to go back and bookkeep, buy their items. And we did not play that very well either, because there was I think one point they were pushing down mid, Orianna was super low, but needed to go back and heal and buy an item, and we can't siege without Orianna in that team comp. So that bookkeeping and team comp needs to be taken into consideration in mid-game. Now, when does mid-game start? It depends on the laning phase.
It does. You can kind of put soft, times on that. I personally, I kind of feel like when the first tower goes down, you really start to hasten the transition into mid game, just because that frees up one lane. No matter where, whether it's the the enemy tower that goes down or your own, all of a sudden somebody on the map can now start having influence on other areas, and that can really affect the outcome of the game. The other thing I do is I sort of think around level 9 tends to be just my own mental indicator of mid game, because a lot of supports and mid laners are supports start to get a lot more power, and mid laners are kind of nearing their in most cases they're nearing their most influential point of the game, because they're still getting a lot out of just base ability damage rather than the items. And but top laners and marksmen don't quite have all of the items yet that they need to be supremely effective.
Right.
That's my personal take on it. I'm not going to say that's textbook correct.
I don't think that, because the mid game could happen when you're like level 12. Mid game.
It's all based on the flow of the game. It comes back to that, like, knowing the feel of how the game's going, and you can just the fact that you can force mid game by leaving, like, say you take top turret and you go mid and you just shove that down, and then you just go on to the next one and shove bot down. There isn't a textbook thing. It's just it's an adaptability thing. You just kind of gotta figure out your game sense and push things forward, unless you want to slow it down.
The way I recognize it is everybody's sitting in their lane, like in the beginning. Top is 1v1, mid's 1v1, the jungle's in the jungle, intermittently showing up, and bottom is 2v2. That's the laning phase. That's early. And like you said, if it goes to level 12 and everybody's still doing that and nobody killed a turret, it hasn't quite gotten to mid-game yet. As soon as somebody starts piling more people and grouping up, taking objectives, that's when it transitions into the mid-game. Because then you have to work as a team. And then late game is,
when everybody has items.
Yeah, everybody has items and everybody's pushing, and it's...
And the main objectives really become just driving towards the Nexus and also Baron.
Yep. So I guess a good way to recognize it is if people are moving out of their lanes and making things happen in other lanes other than jungler, it's probably moving into mid-game pretty quickly.
Yeah, you need to figure, like what we just talked about earlier, I'm just going to kind of wrap this back around, is you need to figure out what your team comp does best and when it's best for your team comp to transition. If you know you have a very mid-game influenced team comp like the one we just talked about, Lucian, Ziggs, Elise, you need to figure out what you could do to make that mid-game happen more quickly. And just like everybody else said, it's either taking top tower, taking mid tower, taking dragons, and transitioning that to a kill bot, a 4-man gank bot, whatever it may be. It has to... This is all for ranked, really, because in solo queue, mid-game could happen at 12 minutes and mid-game could happen at 25 minutes. Solo queue is just... You can't figure out team comp that way in solo queue.
It's a toss-up.
In LCS, at least last season, they were trying to push mid-game as quickly as they possibly could.
Like 7
That was
minutes.
the goal with a lot of the 2v1 lanes and the early objectives.
Yeah.
They were just trying to get laning phase over as quickly as possible, because otherwise top laners and marksmen were getting like really super powerful. And they were trying to prevent that from happening.
And that's why
we saw what happened. We saw what happened when top laners did get a lot of farm and everything. Jax was tearing it up.
Oh, it's just terrifying.
Yeah, I think an important thing to keep in mind when you're in the mid-game is to help your team, work with the team, sacrifice getting that last couple CS to help and assist, or to move with your team when they're moving around, and work more as a team. It's less of an individual game at that point. So you got to get that mindset, change that mindset a little bit, and adapt to moving with your team.
There's a lot of pressure on supports during the mid-game, because it suddenly goes from warding your little corner of the map, whether you're doing a 2v1 or normal duo lane battles, to getting as much vision control on the map as you can possibly get. And a lot of times that really just means step warding. Like, you throw a ward down just to control that area, and then as you're proceeding around the map, like, you kind of have to decide whether you want that vision in the initial area you had it, or if having vision in a different part of, say, the enemy jungle is more important for your team. But you can lose games because you don't have vision control during this stage. Like, there's a lot of pressure here.
It's funny you bring up vision control. I actually did a League of Legends tips today, one of those 7-second things, the Vine. And I go back to your point that you made a number of podcasts ago, Dom, where vision is information. And denying information is just as valuable as gaining the information on your team. So teams, depending on how many slots you have open and how much money you can dump into it, like a top laner, you can actually sell your totem ward and get another sweeper and have 3 sweepers on your team. And you have that sweeper, plus you can have that extra slot open for wards. And I noticed that doing that more often, buying those 3 wards and having that sweeper, is very beneficial to my team.
I often sell my sight ward trinket, or the yellow trinket, when I get a sight stone, because just to get that extra sweeper on the map. A lot of supports are just starting with a sweeper right away, and I completely get that. I prefer not to, but that's a preference thing. Like right now, in the early game, I think it's just better to have more vision rather than to try and deny the vision, because I don't like you're not usually straying too far outside a lane.
Right.
Um,
But mid-game
But-
denying vision is huge.
Mid game, it suddenly becomes a very, very huge thing.
Right. So don't undervalue wards. I think we've been saying that since season 1. Don't undervalue wards and don't undervalue destroying wards. Because
I like
ahead.
upgrading that sweeper. It gives you that few seconds of like an Oracle's buff on you.
Yep.
So you upgrade the sweeper and you can really clear a little bit more of an area a little bit faster. So
Well, it's nice too,
Yeah.
especially on things like Baron, where you might have missed the ward, but with the actual sweeper itself. But then you can just keep running by and still snag it anyway.
Well,
Right.
we had a game last night where
especially
they put-
Baron, yeah.
They put 2 wards down. They put one in the pit and right outside the pit, and one sweeper couldn't get both those wards from one person. You needed the upgrade to get both,
Yep.
and that can happen.
So a lot of people forget about that upgrade and think, yeah, what's the big deal? But it's great when you're going for, like Adam was saying, the deny game. You want at least somebody to have it.
Movie just let us know that Magma Chamber has been canceled.
I always thought that was just a giant troll, like it was never going to come out.
No, but then they were gonna do the what ended up being the showdown.
Ah, yes.
That was gonna become the new Magma Chamber, at least based on what they previewed at All Stars last year. But it sounds like that whole thing's been canceled.
I'm
Or-
not.
I'm reading based on what he's saying in chat, which is cool having live. But
I know this is the best thing ever. You guys see, this is why we have Mubi. We're gonna bring him on.
yeah,
here
he's
shortly.
the best. We should just bring him on every show.
Right. Hear that movie, and we need you to have a camera so you can show your beard. Everyone wants to see that.
Everybody
magnificent
wants to see
beard
it.
So gorgeous.
And that
Yeah, I know.
face.
It puts ours to shame.
I don't know, Dick Claude. You keep yours nice and trimmed. You look. It's always handsome.
I know. I want the Moo Beat beard though, but there's a transition between this and the Moo Beat beard that's all scraggle.
Like old man under a bridge.
And the mustache part, I get trying to eat anything, it gets
It
in
hangs over your
You should
lip.
go for like
It's a
a
super
Ron
great beard.
Swanson or Burt Reynolds style mustache.
it. Yeah,
That's what you need
Charles
to do.
Bronson and the
Yeah.
nah. I want
Go for
the
that.
Salvador Dali, where you wax.
Yes.
it.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
But
Yes.
maybe one of these days I can get over the aggravation of that transition stage.
Oh, that was great. Thanks, Coker, for writing in. I really like that question, and I'm happy
That's
that
a
you
really good question.
wrote that in. So
Yeah, it was good.
hopefully you got something out of it. I know we kind of went off and talked about some of our games, but that's really some of the like we've been telling you guys. Some of the best ways to learn about this game is to play the game and then talk about it afterwards. So that's why you'll hear a lot of it when we talk about it. So I believe your name is Bay, right? B.
Bo.
Bay? Bo.
Oh.
Oh,
God, I want to slap you.
Bay caught me slipping.
the English way. Just reading it, you would say "bew."
I know. That's why
But
I was like,
I think it's pronounced
Ew.
Bo.
Your name is Ew.
I know it's pronounced Bo. Watch this guy write in and say no, it's actually pronounced
Bay.
Balthazar.
Yeah,
Bounce. Where's the L?
You should have known all of those extra letters were in there.
All right. There's a remarkable demand in the world for collectibles and figurines. Wouldn't Riot make a huge profit if they got to selling more physical items? By the fact that it is the most played game in the world, I would think that middle of Venn diagram between League players and art collectors and enthusiasts is likely massive. Is this field too daunting risky for Riot at this time? Do you think we'll ever see them delve into this?
Well, the correct answer is yes, they would make a ton of money off of this.
Oh, of course they would.
They actually had that Ezreal statue available. I want to say it was at All Stars last year.
the
they
Ezreal
do-
statue?
Yeah.
No, that was
Pulsefire
Worlds.
Ezreal.
That was Worlds.
Oh, it was Worlds.
yeah.
So they do that. They do figurines and collectibles like that very, very infrequently. I'm not sure why they're not.
And you two assholes have a Teemo statue. I don't know how fucking I
Should I go
did
get that?
Get it. Yeah, I think you should show the people the Teemo statue. So somehow
Yeah,
I'm
Mine's
working through
upstairs and I
GG.
have MS, so let Dom get it.
Yeah, somehow I'm working through GG Chronicle that year. They sent that out. I'm putting all these awesome articles out, helping everybody, and I don't even get a fucking statue.
So we got it right here.
Yep, there he is. That's the one I got.
So if you guys are not watching live right now, you can look, and there is a Teemo statue. You can go on YouTube that Dom got for helping out. I would assume for the last hits.
I was just working with State of the League at the time, and I was doing last hits a lot, but I was also trying to cover esports as best as one person can. Because Travis didn't do a lot of writing. He's still doing video stuff, and good for him. He didn't do a lot of writing at the time, but I was doing all the writing and everything. But because State of the League got a really good reputation in there, I think that's why I got included there. But I'm not sure why GG Chronicle didn't get any recognition in the process.
Whatever.
That was really confusing to me.
It's just
especially when they got featured on the Riot website at one point.
Right. It's just a little statue. It is what
Maybe
it is.
that was reward enough.
Whatever. Totally jealous.
There we go. Cherry, you're OP now, by the way, if you're watching that.
Wait, what?
You're OP in chat.
Nice.
You're an op.
Gotcha, baby.
But I do know Riot has, I don't know if you want to say paired up with Jinx, but I have seen them, post information to Jinx's page where you can get League of Legends apparel. So maybe they have something where they're having some kind of a profit split, or maybe they just don't want to hire the extra people and have to deal with everything that comes with making T-shirts and all that stuff. Like, I work in the promotional advertising industry, and it's the same thing, making statues, making mugs, and all that stuff. It is a pain in the ass to deal with, and it's easier to take, like you see with the Spreadshirt stuff. Like, we could have asked for orders from you guys, and I could have taken care of that through work, but it's just easier to let another company take care of it, and you get some kind of profit from it. So I'm assuming that if Jinx is the way they're going to go with it, that they'll probably continue to use Jinx because Jinx is a reputable name. People know them as, geek apparel. And we'll probably continue to see more items from them. And without being at Riot, I can't say. Maybe we need to bring up Sotir and ask him if he knows anything.
I would actually be kind of surprised if we don't start seeing more collectibles by the end of 2015. Like, the last few years, first 2 seasons of the game, so to speak, were really just about growing the brand, and I think it grew way, way faster than they anticipated. Season 3 was very clearly focused on developing the best esports distribution that they possibly could, and based on I don't really follow a lot of other competitive games, but based on what I hear, what Riot's doing blows pretty much every other developer out of the water, mostly because very few other developers even bother supporting for esports. Like, they might have a tacit hand in it, but they don't actively engage on that side of the game. So it'll be interesting to see what Riot focuses on, in 2014 and 2015. Since they have a pretty good foundation for esports set. Obviously, they're always trying to do bigger and better, but, bigger and better doesn't necessarily require all of your attention or all of your resources going forward, like doing it right the first time does.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they're hashing out the logistics for it. Getting the, like Adam was saying, finding somebody who can manufacture them. I don't know if they're going to store them and ship them out, what overhead costs there would be, blah, 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 if they would hire a third-party company.
I know they're moving into a new studio or a new office space soon, one that's, like, dwarfing the place they're currently at.
And they have a
that very well might have been an issue.
They have a new studio in New York, too, right? Didn't they announced that, like, 6 months ago or something?
For esports, I think. Only, I don't know if they're doing any development over there.
I think they're setting up a Midwest office, and that's mostly just for they're trying to hammer out the server issues so that people on the West Coast don't automatically have an advantage over everybody else.
Yeah. Oh God, how many times have I yelled out like fucking East Coast lag?
Yeah,
goddamn ADMS.
I think they're trying to resolve it. Like it's. I'm sure it's trickier than I like to believe it is. I'm 100% confident it's easier than I think it is, but I know they're trying to address that.
Yeah, maybe Sotir can shed some light if you want to send him a correspondence there, Adam.
I'll ping him. I don't expect anything back from him. I mean, he just works there. It's not like he's he does anything like game testing.
Ear to the tracks.
I know everybody here loves Sotir. I didn't say I'm going to get him on the podcast. I just said I'm going to ping him. Put your penises away, guys. I can see him sticking out.
There we go.
All right. Would he writes? Oh, by the way, I just had to put this out. You guys remember Elixir, the guy who wrote in? He was playing on Trick's stream today. He happened to be in a game with Trick 2G, and I just thought that was interesting to see a listener playing because Trick was leveling a Smurf at Gold 1. So.
Oh, cool.
So hopefully Elixir is watching. I saw you play, buddy. I saw you play. Wood he writes, if you had to play one champion per role for a week, which one would you choose purely on how fun they are to play?
I want to say Alistar because he's Macau, but I would probably at this point, like right now, it's a toss-up between Lulu and Karma for me. I could really go either way. I guess gun to my head, I would say Karma because I kind of feel like she works in every situation right now, or in more situations than Lulu does right now. And I think she's super fun to play. So there, final answer, Karma.
That's your support answer. One per role. They asking for us to.
I'm not gonna even answer
one
the
per
other
role?
role because I guess Wukong would be my top mid and jungle.
That's the only person I've ever seen you play other than support. So
I've played. I have
Really?
other champions that I can play, but like Wukong, I actually
I
enjoy.
really want to play Dominion. Just suddenly, like
Wow.
you mentioned Wukong. Maybe we should do that for listener games
that
tonight.
tonight.
we could.
So, what about this? Remember, it's on how fun they are to play, not how
I think
well
Wukong's
you
really
think
fun.
they'll do.
And I
Okay.
think Karma and Lulu are also really fun. So
Yeah.
when I have to like split hairs, it's like, okay, well, if I think they're equally fun, then I'll go with Karma because I think she's in a better spot than Lulu is, and that's really what the argument has to come down to in that respect. And Marksman, I don't know, Urgot.
Mine is Gangplank across the board. I don't have an
Every
alt,
lane.
I don't have an alt named GP or I feed for nothing. You guys can go look him on in Log King right now. He has played nothing but GP ever. But no, I take that back. He played Lux and Udyr once just because GP was taken and I fed. I lived up to the name GP or I feed. Yes, I'm part of the problem. Damn it.
Yes, you are.
We've always known that, though.
We've been saying this for years.
I would play him as Marksman. I don't even care. I love GP so much. I would play
Well,
him anywhere.
yeah,
It's so
we know
weird
that.
you think he's so great. Because to me, he seems like very, very just simple in his design. But like,
Yeah,
more
but-
power to you.
But with Adam, that's parlay for the course. So you know.
Oh, fuck. God damn it.
Yes.
All right,
Oh,
Jaquan
man.
and Chira.
Udyr and Olaf interchangeably for top and jungle. Kazakh's mid. Corky for AD carry and Maokai support.
Good man.
Wait, not Maokai Jungle?
No.
I thought he was your boy.
I abused the shit out of him when he was amazing at the end of season 2, but I've been having a lot of fun on Udyr lately. Just playing Tiger Udyr out of the jungle and being a huge asshole. And like stealing every kill ever with double Tiger.
Nice.
So good.
Let's play Udyr again in the top lane versus my Alistar. Let's see how that works out for you.
I would rather kill myself.
Yeah, I would play Fiora top. Jungle Urgot. I love Jungle Urgot. That's very fun. I like support Urgot too. I played it. It was pretty meh, but it was fun to try to get it
Yeah,
to work.
his mana films are not
I
exactly
want to play
conducive to that
Gangplank
role.
support. I mean, come on.
Yeah, yep. But it was fun just getting that good poop hit and then hiding in the bush and launching my heat-seeking missiles at him. And it was good bullying. For mid, I can't get enough of Ziggs. He's just so fun because of all his skill shots and the way he can bounce around. Did I hit them all? Top, Fiora, mid, Ziggs, jungle Urgot, support Urgot. ADC, I like Graves. I have fun with Graves and Caitlyn. So they're pretty solid choices in my opinion, and they're also fun to play. I like getting trying to figure out how to get my, what is it, ace in the hole or ultimate
Yep.
to hit so there's no chance for someone to block it unless they use a flash or something like that. Trying to figure out how to use that, or opening, getting all my setup ready in a bush, having the little Ural snap trap and just waiting till they come in and face
Those
check and
eyes.
then snap and then hit everything and then hopefully they die. Or I'll start with the ace in the hole while they're coming into the bush, make them panic and run around like a chicken with their head cut off, and then proceed with the
Scared of
rest.
This guy, holy crap! It's like a
Pretty-
stone cold
Pretty
killer
calculated.
here.
Yeah, you're like
Who?
you.
Me?
you.
Oh.
You just went off. He was like the eye. You could see it in his eyes. He was like, "I'm gonna kill this man."
Yeah,
Caitlyn.
that's funny because you're like the nice.
Ural snap trap. Oh, yeah.
I know it's funny. He's the nicest guy, but he's the only guy.
He's like the nicest guy, and he sounds super nice and everything before we had video and everything. I'm like, oh man, he just sounds like a really nice guy. And then like that comes out, I'm like, holy shit.
Well, also I
He's
am
gonna
terrible.
fuck somebody up.
The dark
I'm
side.
terrible at marksman. That's my worst role because I just get that bloodlust, I guess, when I see him.
I loved your tweet this morning where you're like, I tried to play Caitlyn and Blade of the Ruined King just to show that troll video wrong, and it didn't work out at all.
Not at all. I'm like, yeah, I can see it working on her, and then
We're talking
nope.
like third item on her, babe. It would work, but
No, I rushed it.
yeah, that's never a good idea with Caitlyn.
Yep.
All right.
So we hit everybody, huh?
Yeah.
And you're sure you gangplank across the board? You don't have another fun champion?
Nope, gangplank across the board. I'd play him.
AP
together.
gangplank?
Dude, go look at GP or iFeed's rude pages. If you could right now, go look at them. One of them says GP needs AD, GP needs AP, GP needs crit, and GP needs support.
Nice.
And his
Only on your Smurf though? You don't want to mess up your other account?
no. my Smurf GP needs crit is 20% crit in the rune page, and I run it mid. As
You don't
AD.
have
You're
bonus
an
crit
asshole.
damage?
No,
You
it's
should do bonus
it's just
crit
straight
damage?
20. One in every 5 auto attacks crits. One in every 5 parlay crits.
What bracket is he in again?
He's bronze 5 or something.
Of course he is. Of course he is.
You're part of the problem.
I just did it just because I wanted to get down there to play. Hey, did you guys
The
see?
best part is you're that guy who does nothing but stat crit, kills some dude like 4 times, and then after the game they're like, "Oh, GP's so overpowered. I'm gonna play nothing but him," and then they start feeding for every game that they play for the rest of the week.
I haven't.
You're
played,
part of the problem.
I have not played GP. Like I did at the end of the season. I dodged all my ranked games to get down to bronze just to see what bronze was like, and yeah, and now I know. I get it, guys.
I don't know. I think you should play GP for real. Like try to pwn with them, try to do well.
I beat a Yasuo's ass with GP. Then Chira's sister came in and fucked it all up.
See? Keep that's
I do recall
GP wasn't
that
the
game.
problem.
I do
Cheers,
recall
sister.
that game.
You know, I was
Looking at her like, huh?
5-0.
Everything
Before
was
that
going
happened.
so well, and then
We lost the dragon. Anyway, let's move on to the
I'm
next
sorry.
question.
I don't understand how I tell you to turn left once you like are coming down my street and she turns right 5 times in a row. I
need a pun for derailed here. Declawed derailed or something stupid. I don't know. I'm gonna have Declawed come up with a pun for this podcast.
Because we're derailed here.
We've been derailed for the last 5 minutes on this question.
I don't know. I think the rest of you guys need some more training on puns for situations like this when I can't.
No, you've seen the goddamn it Declawed every time. Oh my god. Anyway, all right, I'm moving on to the next one. Trevor.
Training, get it?
Yeah, no, I
got it.
yeah, that was no.
Trevor
I was not
writes,
amused.
I don't get the opportunity to
But
really
never
play
amused.
more than 1 or 2 games of League a week, but I get to watch a lot of pro and listens to podcasts, etc. Blah, blah, blah. I feel that I have good grasp on the game concepts and have horrible mechanics. Since I don't have the time
that
to
sounds like
learn.
me.
No, thanks, Tom. Since I don't have a lot of time to learn a bunch of champs, I'm looking for 2 champs that I play well in multiple roles that I consistently play and learn a couple champions well. What are your suggestions? We actually answered this question. We sort of answered this question on 125. Because remember, the guy had asked, how do I get out of bronze? What can I do? And we gave him suggestions to learn champions in his specific role. Like we said, Renekton or Pantheon or whatever it may be.
Right.
Does that guy ring a bell now?
Yeah. Well,
He's
that was-
asking one champ for multiple roles, though, right?
Yeah, the listener last time asked for like a specific for the top lane.
Right. This one's one champ in multiple roles, and I think we answered it in one of the older ones, but Cho'Gath.
We've done this.
I
We've
think
done
is
this
a really
before.
good one.
Cho's good.
Pantheon.
Elise for jungler top. Pantheon for mid jungler top.
And
Hazard.
Kind
Olaf.
of SOL when it comes to marksman, unless you want to try to swing Jace as a marksman, then you can use him there in top.
you can
but
do Caitlyn mid and bot. Like, she's one of the few you can do.
She's actually not bad
I meant
mid.
mid and did I say mid and bot? I was thinking Vayne can kind of do top, but you have to have
But-
really good mechanics to do it.
I was
Quinn.
gonna say, truth be told, if you can't, like, if you're not that competent in your mechanics, marksman's not the role to play because it's a very mechanic heavy
Right.
position. It's why I hate playing that. Well, it's why I'm not good at that role.
Yeah.
Because
Urgot's
my
another
mechanics are really, really just bad.
Urgot isn't bad. See, the problem is if you're not a very good mechanical player, I think you need champions with no skill shots or no, circle shots. I think that's why I think Pantheon. Like I always will. I'm happy that we have DeClaude on here because you like the Pantheon master.
Yeah, I love Pantheon, and he's good, but the problem with Pantheon is he can be bullied by a lot of bruisery type tops unless you play properly. You got to use your passive properly. He's harder to play though. He does have the auto hits for everything, but now you can screw up and hit a minion with your Aegis stun when you should be hitting the enemy champion. You run out of mana very quickly. If you decide to do any Heartseeker strikes whatsoever, you better pop a pot. So I don't know if he'd be the best one for that.
The champ's kind of in a bad place right now, just given the current state of the game, but Rise comes to mind as another one of those, reduced mechanic type
I was
champions.
about
can
to
do that.
I like Rise, but ever since they changed up some of his stuff, I don't think he's even near where he used to be.
No, and that's fine. Tuning needs to have. He was just way too strong. Is really the issue.
Yeah.
Well,
and
Morgana
again,
will work well.
Yeah, Morgana.
She would.
I always fear and
Binding.
respect
I feel like the
Morgana.
binding is the second or third hardest skill shot to hit in the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but all you got to do is poop on the minions, and you're bullying the lane, and you're also keeping your life up. You're giving yourself some sustain, and the black shield. I freaking hate that black shield.
Everything else in her kit is great and very easy to use, but the binding is. I feel like Ash arrows are the only harder thing to hit than bindings.
I have a problem when people say they have bad mechanics. This may be my, I don't know, a lack of knowledge or something, but I have a problem offering up champions to play when you have bad mechanics because I feel like every champion has a specific set of mechanics they need to play well, and there are some champions that can cater to the poor mechanics. But when you have poor mechanics and you're playing others with poor mechanics, you can get away with with lacking that skill. So when someone says, let's play Quinn can play top, mid, and ADC. The problem is you need to understand how Quinn's passive works properly. You need to understand how to mechanically use her E and use her passive. So you get a passive proc on the person. You attack, you E, you attack again, you get 2 passive procs. And that's why when everyone asks, I have bad mechanics, what can I play? I think just work on your last hitting and your mechanics, and you don't have to pay attention don't pay attention to the map. Just pay attention to where to move and positioning properly, and the champions will come with that, in my opinion.
I agree. That's the best way to do it.
The alternative would be to try to focus on the less mechanic intense roles. I don't feel like support is very mechanically intense, at least as far, because to me mechanics is really very has a very heavy focus on positioning, which is very important for supports, but then also last hitting and decision making, while you're trying to focus on last hitting and that type of stuff. And I'm an awful last hitter due to all the time I spend playing support. So that's really an issue that I'd face no matter what role I play, and it's kind of the reason why I like playing support so much at this point, is because I don't have to worry about that at all. So if those are your issues, like, I don't know. To me, it seems like support and jungle are the spots for you. I might be wrong on how mechanic intense jungle is, but it doesn't strike me as a super mechanically intense role.
It just depends what champions you play out of it. Like if you're playing Lee Sin, obviously that's super mechanically intensive.
Sure, but
for the most part,
when you're in the jungle, not really.
Right? No, I agree with you for the most part. You play with Warwick, and you can just auto attack your way and watch the
right. Most people can learn. Aren't going to try to learn the jungle on Lee Sin. They're going to learn on somebody a little less intense, and then once they have a good feel for the jungle, they'll start to branch out to the more difficult champions.
If you can work on Cho'Gath, he's very versatile, and he can be a bully. You can be pretty safe on him.
And if you're doing all right on him, he can be almost unkillable.
Yeah, and just be aware of the wind-up time on his ult, so. And you'll be fine, and don't be stingy with your ult. Use it to get big on minions. Don't keep saving it.
Yeah, I have a bad habit of that.
Do you really?
I don't know.
But what if I could use
those, like, I have a difficult... Him and Warwick, I have a really difficult time. Just like they just feel awkward to me. The champions are really... There's not a lot to them.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I really struggle when I play both of those champions.
That's how I feel. I love Warwick top lane. He's so one-dimensional.
He is.
You run the lane and you get a kill, and you push it, go back to base, come back to lane, and try to get a kill again. Like every 60 seconds, the jungler should be top. We've said it before with Warwick, and I tweeted last night, top lane is so boring with a bunch of Zs, because even with Warwick, that's boring to me. Run the lane, get a kill. You can't push the lane out. You just have to go back. Like the state of top lane right now makes me wish that this game would change. And it kind of, I'm going to bring this into the next question because I don't believe that King McGurgle is right, but it goes around top lane.
I was reading it too.
Yeah, top lane and jungle are. If you change jungle, you change top lane. If you change top lane, you change jungle. That's just how this game works right now. So King McGurgle writes in, where do you think Riot went wrong when they tried to bring back the carry jungle? Maybe it's just people I run into, but it seems like there are a lot of talk about bringing the carry jungle into viability in Season 4, but so far there haven't been that many around. And I think he is completely... I think you're wrong, because that's where you put
all
your
I
carry
have
now.
to say, all I have to say is clearly you haven't played a Kha'Zix right now.
Or Vi.
Yeah, Vi,
Evelyn, Elise.
Eve's super strong right now.
If we want to try to extrapolate what's really being discussed here is why does I think he's asking why there are like so many tanky champions prominent in the game right now, and to me it's just defense masteries. They're so good.
Right.
That is a big part of it.
Well,
that's why I really think the issue is like just the defense tree is so strong compared to the other two that the champions who already get a lot from that just like kind of skyrocketed compared to those that were getting benefits from offense.
See, that's where that top lane jungle comes into play, because when defensive tree is really good, you can put those very safe tanky tops with AoE clears, up there to do their job and gain farm. And jungle, right now, there's enough farm in the jungle that you can put a carry jungler in there, because someone like Warwick can farm very safely and very quickly to level 6, and then he can come out and start wrecking face. Vi, for example, as long as you get an early kill on Vi, you can start building damage on her. Brutalizer, Spirit of the Elder Lizard.
And snowball it into the mid game, yep.
Because there's lots of farm. The junglers now are keeping up with top lane and mid lane when it comes to farm, because the creeps spawn so quickly, and adding that extra camp helps a lot. I mean, it's one minion, but it gives you enough time to kill that minion. You can walk back and Wraiths or Wolf,
and if you're paying attention to conservation stacks and you go to gank or you look for ganks, especially when like you're out of the stacks, you can really efficiently farm the jungle.
I don't think that's said enough. I mean, if you said conservation stacks, and I learned that from watching Night Blue streams. I'm not a jungler, but like paying attention to your conservation stacks and using it at every 40 to get the maximum amount of gold.
I mean, if you're gonna sit in a lane and like try to pull off a gank, but you've been there for like 30-40 seconds, which is a ridiculously long time, and you have full 80 conservation stacks, you are fucking up real bad.
I'm trying to wrap my mind around anybody waiting that long. To me, it's like if you're there 15 seconds, you've spent a long time.
Yeah.
I feel like that happens a lot in top lane and with the pros. Like they feel like they sit in that bush, but the lane is already pushing, and they think they can make a gank happen. I'm just like, just walk away and go back to your jungle.
The game's moved past that now. You like if you're waiting a longer time than just, hey, I'm here in lane, I can't make something happen, or you're wasting the time walking to and from whatever, you're just wasting free money.
I feel like that happens a lot because the jungler, at least in lower elos, I feel like the jungler expects either the top laner or the duo lane or mid, whatever lane the jungler's trying to gank. I feel like he expects his teammates to make the first move. And while that can happen sometimes, I don't know, like, if you think a gank can happen, you should just try to make it happen. And, it's solo queue. Sometimes you gotta just hope your team is gonna respond, but at the same, like, trying to make something happen and then just backing up, even if you just get a flash out of it, that is so much better than you wasting your time standing in that brush.
Right.
Yeah,
if you don't get a flash out of it, I guess that sucks.
Pay attention to the minions, though. The way the minions are positioned. If you get up there a little too early and the minions aren't positioned just right, or they're not settled in, and he's kind of starting to move up, it is prudent sometimes to wait a few seconds till everything settles down a little bit. But then, the minions are going to settle rather quickly. I wouldn't wait around any longer than that if he's playing real cautiously, staying back. Right. You sweat the bush, nothing's there.
You're right, though. A few seconds is okay. I think max 5 seconds.
Sure.
Is fine. Right. You're completely right there. But if we're getting to 10, 15, you're wasting too much time. You need to be back in your jungle and farming your race and whatever it may be, or going to another lane.
Right. It's just uneconomical use of your time is really what it comes down to.
And this game is completely about economics. It's a
money game.
We talked about it last night, and there was, if you watch, like, if you go to youtube.com T-Force Podcast, there's one of the games where I got yelled at for running mid lane and farming when I should have been top farming because I'm giving up gold that could have been given to another person, like the jungler that was running there, and economically that was not the right decision for me to make, and that needs to be a decision you need to be aware of, and now I'll be more aware of in the future.
Oh yeah, I screw up on that too. I see big clumps of red and I beeline for it. A little selfishly sometimes, even if other people are going for it. And
I don't usually have that problem. I can say that.
Yeah, it's a support. Yeah.
I usually will just hold it while somebody else is on the way.
Yeah, usually
I'll wait for someone to get experience.
Don't kill it yet. Don't, please, just wait.
No, I need the experience. Wait for me. And now it's a lot of free gold too, because if you kill it when I'm around, hey,
I'm getting gold.
Oh yeah, you got your little coin.
Yeah, I need those. I need all that stuff.
So, all right, guys, that's an hour mark right there. We just went over quite a number of topics, derailed a number of times. Guys, don't forget to go check out youtube.com/T-Force Podcast. We are live every Monday and Wednesday at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
7 o'clock Central.
7 o'clock Central. That's right. 5 o'clock PST. So, you guys can check us out over at twitch.tv T-Force Podcast. Every link is on the website, trinityforcepodcast.com. I've had questions before. Hey, I've listened to your 10 podcasts on iTunes. Where do I find the rest of them? Because I want to go back. trinityforcepodcast.com. So, with all that said, if you guys are... actually, I'm going to do this. With all that said, thanks for listening to the podcast. We will see you next week.
We love you.